We know that Farfetch'd was hunted to extinction in the Pokemon universe. It has been confirmed by the Pokédex itself. Of course, the Pokemon's still around, and it's still slightly common in Galar, which must mean in Galar they have not been hunted to extinction. And maybe Galar is a refuge for Pokemon, because and the wild area is kind of like a national park area. But what about all the other Pokemon? What are Pokemon that are extremely rare? What are Pokemon that you cannot find? The other Pokemon that is a part of being hunted to near extinction is Lapras, which means humans do hunt Pokemon. Again, how are they going to eat meat in the Pokemon universe? We'll be going over several examples in Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3, and a couple in Gen 1, and why they're so rare. Why these Pokemon are so rare. Number 1, Snorlax. Snorlax is a very big Pokemon. And of course, during ancient times, the only Snorlax that must been kept alive must been ones that have been bred by Pokemon breeders. Of course, Pokemon breeders are the ones saving these species from extinction. Pokemon's biodiversity is not as great as the real world. There's only 900 confirmed Pokemon in the entire Pokemon universe. Which means a lot of Pokemon, there must have been a lot of extinct Pokemon. And we know Pokemon can go extinct because they're fossil Pokemon. But Snorlax might have been hunted to near extinction. It's extremely rare in its home region, Kanto. And it might have been one of the largest herbivores in its region, as it's known to feed on berries and such. But Snorlax might have been hunted to near extinction. You can only find one in the Kanto region. And you can only find one again in the Johto region, in the Johto games, which means there might be a small breeding population and reintroduction efforts, but of course people might not like Snorlax being reintroduced into the wild. And more free roaming areas, Snorlax have been reintroduced to such areas. Yes. But Snorlax, with the exception of Galar region, has been reduced to extinction in these areas, or at least extinction in the wild, being kept alive by the Pokemon breeders. Next Pokemon, number 2, Stantler. Stantler, as always by residents Arceus or Arceus, however you want to pronounce it, used to be much more common, even having an evolution called Radial. And obviously, Stantler used to be much more common, but now it's only reduced to a couple roots. It is reduced to roots 46 and 47. It is found in the Safari Zone extension. It's found in the Pokeradar, using the Pokeradar. It's also found in the Safari Zone, which we can't really count that. Mirage Mountain, which we can't really count that. But it has been found in a bit more areas in Residence Arceus, which means they must have been way more common back in the day. So I wonder if they make a reason based on prehistoric Johto and prehistoric Kanto. Again, I think in Residence Arceus they still might have already been well, because Residence Arceus takes place in an older version of the Sinnoh region. And of course, they might be, and which means very likely Stantler must be native to Kanto, Johto, and Sinnoh before going extinct in all 3 regions. How do we know this? Because they were found in Route 207 after they beat the game, which means there might be a small reintroduced population by a bunch of Pokemon compensationists. But they also are reintroduced in 46 and Route 46, 47, which is also based on around a town that is based off Nara, which is a place where you're allowed to roam free. It might be one of the only 2 routes where Stantler are allowed to roam free without being hunted, basically. And Stantler is, of course, being kept alive by Pokemon trainers through breeding and stuff. But Stantler is extremely critically endangered into the wild, after overhunting. And maybe Pokemon efforts can be reintroducing these species more into the wild. And it's evidence that these Pokemon are much more common by Residence Arceus. So these Pokemon must have been much more common across many regions, including Deering as well. Number 3. Another Pokemon that is very rare in the Pokemon games is Chansey. Chansey is now only found in the Safari zone. And I think Chansey is always pretty rare, but Chansey's population is not really that high. Chansey is supposed to be a Pokemon that is extremely difficult and few in numbers. It is said to bring happiness to the trainer who catches it. But maybe there might be a reason why Chansey is few in numbers. Yes. Again, Chansey lays excellent eggs, with the exception of Pokemon breeders breeding these Pokemon to make sure they don't go extinct, and trying to reintroduce them to the wild. Well, again, either these Pokemon are elusive and rare, or they're not really that number. They are often mentioned as being few in number, and several Pokédex entries. They are mentioned as few in number, and at least the Johto and Kanto region. They are found in the Safari Zone, but that is basically a nature preserve with probably many exotic Pokemon. And every region it has appeared in, they have not been very common throughout the Pokemon games. And let's talk about Let's Go games. We don't really count those. But they are very much common. They're pretty rare on Sword and Shield expansion packs, but they're probably protected. They can only be used for catching, but they're probably made so that Chanseys do not go extinct, at least in the Isles of Honor, or wherever that place is in Pokemon Sword and Shield. And Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, they might be a bit more common in those games, since those games most likely take place after when reintroduction efforts and Pokemon Let's Go and Pet Eevee do help this Pokemon recover. Which means that the found almost every route and water habitats must mean that these Pokemon have been basically hunted to extinction and basically found in very few places. People love eggs, and people probably hunted these Pokemon for their eggs. Number 4. Pokemon. Toros and Mutank. This is not too surprising. Why? Because the real-life wild cows are also extinct as well. And most of the Toros populations in Galar are most likely most of the populations in other regions. Okay, not Galar. It doesn't only in the Training Lowlands, but in most of these areas, it's most likely feral regions because you mostly find these Pokemon near farms, and that's where you find them. Which means, much like in real life, the real-life Auroch versions of the Toros are extinct. Like in real life, the Aurochs were hunted to extinction. And Toros is basically... Toros and Mutank are basically based off of the real-life cow. The real-life cattle. And again, these Pokemon are only found in places like Safari Zone, whereas are the only places that preserve wild Toros. Wild Toros might have occupied the entire region of Kanto, Johto, and Sinnoh as well. But, like in real life, these magnificent Pokemon went extinct because of humans hunting them to extinction. The next Pokemon, now we're getting to Gen 3. Gen 3 has several candidates for this. Several. We're going to go over all of them. So Gen 3 had the trend of Pokemon becoming restricted to certain routes and stuff. I think a specific Pokemon is Tropius. Tropius, of course, has those great bananas, and has a big target as well, which doesn't really help this Pokemon whatsoever. It's a big target for a Pokemon. Again, I don't think Pokemon Tauros is only 220 pounds, but actually 220 pounds makes a lot of sense because it can fly. It does need to keep flight, but much like Tauros, this Pokemon is not too common, only being found in Route 119 in the original games. Also being found in the Great Moss, Route 14 and Route 18 in Gen, and of course Gen 5, and of course Route 119 and Route 120. And of course Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And also, that's it. So that means the most likely thing for Tropius is that it was hunted to extinction, either for its meat or its beautiful plants on its side. But of course, the species is not extinct. It is critically endangered in the Pokemon universe, like with the rest of these Pokemon as well. And also, let's not forget the creation of Pokemon roots, basically so trainers can walk through, probably also hindered this species as well, destroying habitat that it dearly needs as well. Well, and also being an island ecosystem, it's also threatened by the introduced species from other regions, most notably Kanto and Johto, introducing Pokemon from those regions. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an updated list. Pokemon like Gumshoos and Yungoos Pokemon like Gumshoos, Yungoos, Bidoof, Bibarel have been introduced to the region as well. Pokemon that are very common in those regions. And of course, in desert areas, you would have Sandile line introduced from Unova. You would have Very Pup line used as well, and several other Pokemon from the later generations introduced to these regions. Gens, which also get rid of Tropius habitat even more. But it seems that with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the range has increased. So maybe this might be looking good for Tropius and its evolutionary line. Maybe we won't be losing these unique Pokemon forever. And the last Pokemon we'll be discussing today that may be near extinction is the Swackoth line. And of course, it's a Wisdo region. The Swackoth line is found in Petalburg Woods, and only Petalburg Woods. And it isn't really found much anywhere else, literally. Which means the species may be nearly extinct, or at least from another another region. And it's most likely because of how real-life Swafts act. Real-life Swafts are very lazy, which probably makes Swackoth an easy target for Pokemon like Yungoos, which are probably introduced to island ecosystems like Hoenn and, of course, Aurora regions as well. It doesn't really help that these Pokemon have been introduced to this region from, of course, the other regions, including Pokemon like Pikachu and stuff. Yeah, Pikachu is one of the Pokemon that have been introduced as well. Well, and if you look at the Generation 3 Pokédex, the Generation 3 Hoenn, you see some Pokemon that are not native to the region. First, you're seeing Pokemon that are native to the region, and then you're seeing Pokemon like Abra, which are obviously not native to the region. They're native to Kanto and Johto as well, being introduced to the region. Goldeen and Seeking, obviously, as well. We're going to go over this into a different video, the likely reasons for these introductions as well. Goodbye.